Hey, well, welcome everybody to episode number 8 of the One Life podcast. Have a very special guest with me today. You are much better looking than DJ. I am so excited to have my wife, Amanda, joining us. Since we decided, or you decided that you would hang out, I've been looking forward to this. And I predict that this will be the most watched or rewatched episode of the podcast since we started it just a couple months ago, and we're here to so thanks for
You're welcome. Glad to be here.
Joining with us, and we're going to talk today about a question because we're in this series asking for a friend, and it's a question that is always asked every single year. It's about marriage. I'm not going to spend an entire message in this series on that question because we do a relationship series every year, and I'm actually already planning our relationship series for next April. So I figured we would just take 20 minutes, bring you in, and kind of a behind the scenes look. Are you a little nervous about
a little bit
about this? Yeah,
I don't know all the questions you're going to ask, so here we go.
I'm not quite sure I know all the questions either. We're going to let it just flow and see what happens. But I think the question that a lot of people get, especially now as our church continues to grow, is they just don't know you. And we have an East Campus, and they never really see you and our kids. So a lot of questions are, hey, how do you guys do it all?
Yes.
Pastor's wife, but also you're a very successful business owner, a teacher, a marathoner with huge goals. We're raising 3 kids. I mean, there's absolutely a lot
going on right now.
So we're going to talk about a lot of that. But I just figured that we would kind of pull back the curtains a little bit and see into our life. So I'm going to ask like some rapid fire questions, and you don't really know what these questions are, and that'll help like start the conversation and get it going. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, here's the first question. How and where did we meet?
We met in Jacksonville, Florida. I have to think about it. And do we have to share like the whole story?
Not the whole
Because there's
story.
a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, we met at Starbucks, which is kind of cliche because we both love coffee and still love coffee. That's kind of our thing. Yeah, we met at a Starbucks, but we both were going to the same college.
Trinity Baptist
Yes.
College. Go Eagles.
Go Eagles. I didn't even know that was there. Okay. Learning new things. And yeah, it was kind of like at first sight, we kind of just took off.
So that was my next question.
Yeah.
Were your feelings immediate, or did I have to wear you down a little bit?
I mean, your blue eyes said a lot. I liked your eyes.
Done. I'll take that.
But no, yeah. I knew for a while you were kind of like testing the waters with me, and then it just happened at the Starbucks.
All right, so you were a freshman.
Yes.
I was a senior, and I saw you one day running around the campus. I'm like, who is that? And then found out from a mutual friend, your name is Amanda from Rhode Island. All these types of things. Major was music, or your major in school was music
You did your
education.
research, that's for sure.
Yeah, but then I was a little nervous because I was a senior and I was going to seminary and you were a freshman, and I didn't want like my lasting legacy at Trinity Baptist College to be that I got turned down by a freshman. Right. So I had to make sure like you were somewhat interested before I kind of threw out my my feelings.
And yeah,
to you. Is that fair?
Yes, totally.
You were.
I tried to like get you to say hi to me, but the Starbucks thing was by chance. So. And then after that, we just met at the library. You were kind of blunt on, hey, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to pastor a church. If you're in, let's go. If you're not, see you later. I'm not kidding. That's how that went. And
it did go that way.
And I said, I've always wanted or felt that God was calling me to be a pastor's wife, and really felt that and knew that. And so 15 years later, here we are.
So that was my next question. How long have we been married? 15 years.
15 years.
And we have 3 kids. Ages, names and ages. Go for it.
Gianna is 11. She's in 6th grade. Grayson is 10 and 5th. When I say this out loud, I'm like, what?
Yeah, right.
And Gabby is 8, and she is in 3rd grade.
Yeah, crazy.
So, yeah.
It's a lot of fun.
It is. They are
you already
awesome.
kind of mentioned this, being a pastor's wife. Here's a question that I get all the time, and it's kind of a fun question.
Okay.
But do you hate it when I use you in a sermon illustration?
Yes. If you don't like ask me,
Most
you
of the time
do
I
it.
ask you. Most of the time.
I mean, now I feel like it's you don't, but
Really?
I know. Yeah, I don't remember. Maybe
Oh.
I just don't listen, and then
That could be. That could be. Do you remember the Song of Solomon series that we did back
yes,
in
I hated that one.
2021?
No, it was a great series, but it just felt. I
That
don't
was
think
a
I'd
very
ever
graphic
go. It was very
series with sex
Yes,
and
yes.
husbands and wives and all of that. I mean, there was Solomon
man.
leaves the pictures are all there in your mind.
Yeah, and I'm sitting on the front row.
Right. And so everybody would say, oh my goodness, I looked over and Amanda is like beat red the
Yes.
entire series. Could I share this?
You could. I know
Okay,
where you're going,
okay.
so let's go.
So in the Song of Solomon, Solomon talks about that she wears a sachet of myrrh around her neck in between her breasts she holds it there to remind her of him before he comes home. Remember that?
I remember.
Okay, so do you want to tell the listeners what somebody brought you the next week?
Oh yes. So at that time, before we opened up Amp Fitness, in a boutique gym, we were meeting either at the church or at my garage. And so this was actually at the garage. I remember, and one of our sweet ladies brought me a sachet, you call it, it wasn't myrrh, it was frankincense because she couldn't find myrrh. And I just remember being like, oh, thank you. And be like, Jared, never again. Never.
Yeah, she wanted you to wear the sachet of myrrh around your neck to
I can't make
remind you.
this stuff up.
It was that moment of
Yes.
I am done being a pastor's wife. This is out of
So
control.
in those elements or that time, I was like, okay,
She meant
no
well.
thanks. Oh yeah, and that it was done in love and all of that, but just
So
kind
funny.
of like
Just that
self-awareness of
moment.
it.
Well, it's that moment too of like, oh my gosh.
we're in a goldfish bowl and everybody.
Yeah, everybody thinks about
Yes.
everything and sees everything. And I just find it fascinating that someone would be sitting in that message series and think to themselves, you know what I'm going to do for my pastor's wife? I'm going to make for her a sachet of myrrh to wear around her neck. I mean, those are the moments that
You write them down because we're going to talk about it in the future. That's for sure.
Oh man, and it's true though, right? Sometimes we do feel like we live in a glass house. We talked about that.
And same for our kids. That's
Yeah, and I think for the
yeah.
most part, what I'm really thankful for One Life, for the most part,
Mm-hmm.
and we always have the one-offs, right? Those crazy comments, those crazy people that feel like they can just show up places where we are. But for the most part, I mean, the people of One Life have been really great, understanding balance and respecting family and all of that. And as I said to like our search team, and I think you were in the room, is listen, you're hiring me. You're not hiring Amanda, and you're definitely not hiring my kids. And even in the sense of like, I'm the one who signed up for this. And you knew what you were signing up for, but our kids definitely did not sign up for this. So we try to protect them as much as we can.
I feel like because we moving from Indiana here, that was a huge transition for our kids. Like Gianna was going into kindergarten, and you saying that, I really felt like a weight lifted because our kids are not perfect. I mean, we're not perfect, and just to get that pressure off them in such a transitional period made me feel like, okay, let's go and let's do this.
Yeah,
But
that was really helpful. And the
Yeah.
church, for the most part, I mean, honestly,
amazing.
has been great about
Oh yes.
that. And I always say like, hey, let Amanda, you for instance, like. Because everybody's like, the pastor's wife, she has to play piano. And you do play piano, which is fascinating. And you have to be leading the women's ministry and involved in all these different things.
Yes.
But I also said from the very beginning, like, no, let her be as involved as she wants to be and as she feels called to be.
Which is really helpful because when we first got married, the culture we were in at that time was very much, oh, Amanda, you need to be into everything. Why are you not at this
Show up for every event, every
baby shower?
service,
And I remember this one time being like, no, I do not need to be here.
Yeah.
And you giving me that freedom, really, or we were in it together. Not that you gave me freedom, but like we talked about it. And that was that. I mean, I think the longevity of us being in ministry is because of that.
Yeah.
I'm able to be Amanda love Jesus and be a part of the church because I want to be here and love being here.
And it's I always think about this, like for our marriage, I think why the pastor's family dynamic works for us so well is I think, and we'll talk about this a little bit, I think we do understand seasons. Like when we first got here, church was much smaller and you were involved in a lot more. Like you were playing keyboard on the worship team and you were helping with the growth track and a lot of those things. But as the church has continued to grow, you've been able to release a lot of that. But it's not that you're not involved in ministry. It's your ministry has completely shifted. And you view, and I don't want to put words in your mouth so you can correct me, but you view like what you're doing with the business that you're building is a
for
ministry
sure.
of
It's
sorts.
like so many different walks of life that come in those doors. And regardless if they meet Jesus or at least it's like one step on that journey and
So
know that
good.
it's a safe place. So
I don't know if I ever told you this. Maybe the team did, but our Easter survey, ranging the questions people are asking, we also ask, hey, how did you hear of One Life? And if you were invited or other, and I think like number 6 or 7 was people that said invited by Amanda Moore, right? It was this like by far that was a lot of the reaction. Probably like 15 to 20 people are a part of our church today because of the direct impact that you personally have, not on a stage, not like in a particular ministry, but just the influence that God has given you.
I think that speaks to all of us though. Like in any job that we're in, you've been talking about that on stage. Like when Jesus is a part of your life, he's going to show up and it just happens.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But our first ministry, I think like you and I both agree with, is like it's our marriage first, kids second, and the work that we get to do third. And for me, it's pastoring a church. For you, it's running a business, a fitness business, and teaching, and all the other things that God lets us be a part of, which is pretty cool. So let's talk about, because that's another big question, is, oh my goodness, you guys are doing so much. How do you balance? How do you balance? And we talked about this actually on your podcast, your fitness podcast, but I think it's worth having the conversation here. Like, how do we do it all? Because it's a lot.
It is a lot. And it's kind of, as you said before, evolving because we're not always getting it right. We're finding that, and I'm changing. I feel like we're all changing as we get older, capacity-wise. So I'm learning in my season, I need some breaks mentally, from people, from my kids, and I love my kids, but I also
from me
know
even like
yes.
it's important for you. Yeah.
So we're finding that we need to schedule like maybe a night away once a month. I know that sounds so like a lot, but we need it, or we need that date night. You need to make it a priority. I need to have coffee with my friends, but it's really hard for me. No, I need to spend that time building the business. Oh, I need to spend my time,
Isn't it funny? Like you and I we're both type A. We both want to work. We like to work.
Yes,
So
I find a lot of enjoyment. I love it.
Fulfillment. I do too.
Yeah, like it
like it's a normal
empowers
thing.
me, but I also
It's that moment too of learning. Like, hey, if my inbox doesn't go to 0 tonight, it'll be okay. Right? The church is not going to fall apart, and I think people will understand if we're not following up like right away or immediately. Obviously, if it's an emergency, we do, but that's kind of like being willing to say no is key. But also, I think what you mentioned for me is just the intentionality of making time for each other is huge. The date nights, live for date nights, man. We love to go out to nice restaurants and hang out.
Yeah, we do. And the hiking, like we're doing the Grand Canyon. And I get it. Some of us were like you're in the trenches of little ones and you can't, it's like you are going or I'm going. So we're kind of past that, which is so exciting. There's a light at the end of the tunnel, everybody. I'm telling you, there's a light. But
like we can leave and go on date night if it's close by.
Right.
And Gianna, who's in the 6th grade, is very mature, can hold down the fort.
It's like huge.
When you don't have to pay for childcare, it changes
Yes.
everything.
But I feel like we did pretty well
Yeah.
making it a point before when it was 3 under 3.
Yeah, I mean, I also think we figure out things that we like to do for fun. So you mentioned like hiking and running. I mean, I think to me being intentional is like I go to the track on Tuesday mornings. I go do hills on Thursdays. Yeah, I like to training for the Grand Canyon, but it also is a time we get to be together. We're doing this new ice bath thing. We talked about that in a previous podcast. That's
Love
fun. But also we like to travel together. And you mentioned this, but also for me, I'm willing to put in the time and work hard and get after it if I know there's a break coming, even if it's for a day, just a night away or a weekend or something that's coming. We're going to push the gas hard, but then a break is coming, which has been nice. And we're committed, like that's our time, right? Not kids. That's our time together, just to reconnect and to hang out. I thought about not sharing this, but I'm like, this is what the podcast is for, to let people into our life. When we were married and we were kind of just figuring out this whole thing and figuring out how to be married to type A to type A. Remember we met with a therapist, Jerry Dahl, and his advice has been brilliant. He said, there's nothing wrong with being type A and being wound up tight and working really, really hard. So his encouragement to us was, you get home once a week, like pour a glass of wine, right? And just sit and just connect and allow the 30 minutes to the hour, however long it takes you to finish that glass of wine, like to be just your time key. And we've been doing that for 10 years. And that, tell me you don't look forward to that glass of wine.
I love that glass of wine.
But I look forward to the moment of knowing, like, no, this is a time where the kids
Shut everything off.
Yep. It's our time, which has been neat. So just intentionality is absolutely key. We do have, like, this is just a fun question to answer, like TV shows that we like to binge together. Like we find like a TV show that we're both into that's enjoyable time we get to spend together. Even though we might be working, we're still doing something together. And
it's that noise in the background.
Yeah, absolutely. Work hard, go hard, knowing that we're able to.
So what's our favorite TV show?
Well, my favorite TV show of all time is The Office. I
we even have the kids.
Well, the kids love it too. I don't know if that's an appropriate thing to say. I mean, that's maybe not parenting encouragement, but
I mean,
there's a lot of interesting things in that. But yeah, The Office could be on every day, and I would still laugh at the same parts and never get sick of it. What's yours?
I don't know. We liked Yellowstone for a while.
Yeah, we're waiting for that last last season to come out.
Oh, what's the guy from The Office?
Ted Lasso was absolutely brilliant.
That was good. Yep. And then the other one, oh my goodness, I can't. He's the guy from The Office, and it's in an action.
Oh, Jack Reacher.
No.
Not Jack Reacher. Jack.
See, now we can't think of it.
It's on Amazon.
Yes.
John Krasinski. I can't remember his name and not the name. I don't know. I get it. Somebody write it in the chat.
We like that kind of,
Jack Ryan. That's it.
We love that one. But there's not enough episodes, so.
Yeah, that's very true. I think people, this is the encouragement that about marriage, like intentionality, that is the key. Zero it in, make time for each other, because it's so easy to allow the kids, everything else.
And don't feel guilty about it.
Right.
The kids are going to be fine. It's actually really good for them to see us laughing together, being together. No, Daddy's making it a priority to.
Like when I come home and like I'll slap your butt or I give you a kiss, like
they're like, ew.
Oh, but they love it.
They love
it. Are you kidding me?
They're like,
they're peeking through the eyes, absolutely all the time. But I think we should do. We'll do this again. We'll talk about parenting. But I think one of the things that we realize of like, I think so many parents are caught up in like, oh, my kids are in this certain age. We got to do everything for them. And I'm like, I'm not raising my kids to be great 11-year-olds. I'm raising my kids to be great 30-year-olds. And when you have that long-term perspective in mind, I mean, everything shifts in the here and the now. And making them a good 30-year-old would be a healthy mom and dad, a healthy relationship. And they could strive to be like, man, I want to marry, when I get married, I want my daughters to say, I want to marry somebody like my dad. I want Grace to be like, I want to marry somebody like my mom. That's what we're striving for.
That's good.
Instead of just meet all of their needs. No, you come first. I come first for you. And you guys are second. And they know that, which is fun.
That's amazing. If so many parents could get that and do that. And even finding balance for your kids. Because we've had to say no to certain, like, kind of process things with Gianna. You want to do all these things, but are you going to do them really well or just mediocre? Like, so it's teaching them balance now.
So good.
If she can learn that now, the future is great.
Yeah, that's a powerful thought. I think too, another question we get is, do you guys fight? You want to answer that one? Do we fight, Amanda?
Everyone knows we fight.
Like cats and dogs sometimes. I mean, we're type A people, right? I don't back down. You don't back down. But what's the key with fighting though? Let's talk about that, because that is, communication's always a huge.
You're big on this, like attack. Like I don't know. As a woman, we always bring up everything. So learning that, no, let's address the issue that we're having right now, and not bring up something from 5 years ago. Well, you did it then. So I'm learning, like, that's because we can harbor onto that. And then, like, you're in premarital right now. We're talking to our friends that are doing that with you and saying that we don't go to bed angry.
Yep.
Like, annoyed, sure, but we're not going to be.
Huge difference between being angry and annoyed. I think you go to bed.
And it might be a really late night for you all, but
fight. We'll fight into the hours. Like, we're not going to bed. Like, the Bible's really clear about that. That's a command, not a suggestion. I also think, like, fighting fair is huge, right? Just like stay in the moment, not bring everything else up. And we're not perfect at that. Like, we're on a journey trying to figure that out.
It's hard.
But I also think, now my parents are probably gonna watch this, and it is what it is. But we never really saw them fight. Like, they would or argue. They would go into a room and hash it out, right? And my mom would cry, and they'd walk out, and everything would be fine. I don't think that's necessarily healthy. I think allowing your kids to watch you guys deal with issues, deal with problems, and figure it out is a healthy thing. Again, in an appropriate way. There's sometimes you have to send the kids away to have the conversation, but I also think it's healthy for them to see mom and dad. It
just helps them learn conflict resolution. Like, you're gonna
healthy conflict
even
resolution.
Even in school, it's talking to some of the kids. Grayson's coming home and gets frustrated with this one boy. I'm like, you're with him all year.
Yeah, right.
I'm not pulling you from the school. Right. Like, you're figuring this out and learn, like, pick your battles and learn to, like, walk away from this situation. Yeah. Or if you guys are fighting, resolve it, apologize. Yeah. So it's learning now, and seeing us figure it out is huge too. We live it.
Yeah. As best as we can.
It's not perfect. Obviously.
I mean, we are, but I think, like, we're just committed. Like, this is the long term. Like, it's a covenant relationship. We know we never use the word divorce. It's just not part of what we do. Like, even we have good times, you have bad seasons, like everybody else.
And that has been from the start with us. And I feel like that has kept us, like, as close as we are. Like, that, I feel like when you bring that word into it, it starts that divide is starting, like a little crack. And you keep bringing it up and bringing it up. If it's not even a non-negotiable.
And maybe not even the word divorce, but like, you can imply with not even using that. And I think that's very unhealthy. And I deal with that all the time, like with marriage counseling, is it started with a little comment, led to some resentment, and, it just brings doubt into the marriage.
That's the word, doubt.
Yeah. Well, this has been really good. Last 10%. What else do you have you want to share? Nothing. You don't have to share anything. I just did.
We covered a lot.
We did cover a lot.
We talked a lot.
What's that?
We talked a lot.
We did, but I feel like this has been helpful, and hopefully people can learn from our wins. Because I think we do some things right, but also we're an open book, and I try to be as transparent on the stage, even like in different series of like, hey, we're trying to figure this out, and I'm just trying to be as best as I can a good follower of Jesus, a good husband, a good dad that happens to be a pastor. Right?
And it's okay to not get it right. That's another thing we tell our kids.
We keep short accounts.
We tell them, hey, I'm so sorry I responded that way.
Yeah, all the time.
Yeah, and us saying that to each other. And
my comment is, hey, Dad wasn't at his best today. I'm sorry. Will you forgive me? right? I shouldn't have
And they're the
responded
most
in that.
forgiving out of all of us.
So good. So good. Well,
Great.
I'm really grateful for you. I love you. Thanks
Love
for
you
doing
too.
this.
Thanks for having me.
And next week, we're in another episode, and we'll bring you back. I think this will be fun to bring you back from time to time to give your perspective on everything that's going on. But in the meantime, don't forget, the church is not a building that you sit in, but it's a movement that we get to be a part of to reach one more life for Jesus. Let's go.